Hey everybody, welcome back in the shed. I'm Troy and this is Dave, and today we're talking about bands that are supremely popular but we don't really care for too much. They've sold out stadiums worldwide, they've sold millions of albums, but for one reason or the other we can't stand.
Well, I wouldn't say can't stand, but let's just say aren't our cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your number 3, Dave?
I'm going to go with Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
You know, Charleston is one of my favorite cities, and I know Darius is from there. And
I thought you said you knew Darius. I was like,
well, actually,
man, what a shitty friend.
I was actually eating in a restaurant in Mount Pleasant one time, and he was sitting right there. And I wasn't a jerk and tried to go up and talk to him because, well,
you don't like his music.
It was post Hootie anyways, but
yeah. He does this whole country thing now, right?
Yeah, he's a country guy because, you know, when you flame out in rock and roll, what do?
You go country.
You know, they were so popular in the 90s, early 90s, and I think it finally got around to when people started really listening to the music. I only want to be with you. And, you know, the instrumentation was rudimentary, but it was Darius's voice that really carried that band. But I think they got, you know, they sold like 17 million albums. You know, it was just like, and then people woke up and said, you know, this stuff really kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like country music. It's simple music for simple minds.
Exactly.
That's what it is. So my number 3 pick, I think, is going to be Journey. I never liked Journey. I know they're extremely talented band. Steve Perry, man, he's an amazing singer, but I just never really cared for their music, and I even don't like it more now because you hear these same songs on the radio over and over and over. It's like the same like two, 3 songs, and they play them over and over. And I'm like, Journey had way more songs. Why can't you play something else besides these same 3 songs over and over on the radio? But that's with all the bands. That's with all the bands. You like Journey? Were you a Journey fan?
Man, I saw Journey when I was in college on the Departure tour. So that had, you know, Steve Smith on drums, and it had Ross Valerie on bass, and it had Neil Sean on guitar, and it had Steve Perry, but it really, the clincher had the keyboardist Greg Rowley, who was, you know, played with Santana at Woodstock. And then they did these 3 albums that were like really like fusionist, hardcore kind of, you know, it was like Mahavishnu kind of stuff. And then they did Infinity, which is a great album, and Evolution. And then they did, you know, Departure is a tour I saw them on, and it was great. It was unbelievable. And then I think what happened.
I'm sure they're a great band live. I'm sure they're a great band.
I'll just tell you. I mean,
okay. They suck. Is that what you're saying?
What happened is I was in college when, you know, Escape came out, and Jonathan Cain had joined the band and took over for Greg Rowley's spot, and they really went like soft rock and stuff. But you know, there was a time when I was, you know, 19, 20. They were awesome, and they had a lot of great songs. I would still put Infinity down as like one of the great pop rock albums of all time.
I'll disagree.
All right, so
what's your number 2? Are we ready to number 2?
I'm going to go with Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
and I think the reason is well, outside of being a, you know, major douchebag, but that whole style of music that he sort of was part of with the rap rock and all that stuff.
Well, he was somewhat original when it first came out, but he has really gone sort of like country rock.
Yeah.
Which is even worse.
It's okay.
Nah, it's even worse.
And I understand he wrote that song with Sheryl Crow, which was a good song, and but I just can't get past the douchiness of them. So I'm going to go with Kid Rock.
That's a good choice. I got to look at my list because I don't even know what my other. Oh, yeah. Okay. My number 2. So my number 2, which could also be my number 3, it doesn't really matter. They all suck. Even though you did talk about this band in a previous episode, if you want to see that. It'll be, just scroll down, you'll find it. But one band that I never cared for, and I know everybody loves this band, U2. I just don't like U2. I never got into U2. There's not any U2. Like I hear U2 come on the radio and I immediately turn it. To me, it's boring. He's going to disagree with me. He's going to disagree with me.
I saw U2 on a Joshua Tree tour.
Of course you did.
With B.B. King opening. One night he opened. They did When Love Came to Town. I got turned on to U2 when I was in college when the War album came out. There was nothing that sounded like that. And it was like so freaking fresh. It was pretty much like the same thing that happened when Nirvana came out in 91. You never heard anything that sounded remotely like that. And the War album is great. And Joshua Tree, which I got to see him on that tour, that was their pinnacle. And I still love YouTube. I haven't bought any stuff in a long time, but you're crazy.
No, I never liked YouTube. I never liked YouTube. Yeah. I know that is like, I told my wife this last night, and she was like, she couldn't believe it either, but I've never been a big fan of YouTube. Yeah. Let's go on. What's your number one pick?
Well, turn the tables 180 degrees.
Turn it.
I'm going to say Motley Crue.
Motley Crue.
Troy loves Motley Crue.
Well, I don't love Motley Crue anymore, but in the 80s, I grew up in the 80s. So.
I understand. I grew up in the 70s.
Shout at the Devil. Shout at the Devil blew my mind. When that intro, that in the beginning thing comes on, in the beginning, all that, whatever it says, and then it goes into down, Shout at the Devil. I was 14 when this thing came out. It blew my mind. It was incredible. I love it. And the album cover, they're all like in their leather and their long hair. They got I don't know. Maybe they have some blood. Maybe they don't. I can't remember.
They were glam, but
they turned more glam. Yeah. Originally, they were more like leather, and more tough looking. And then Theater of Pain came out, and they all got all wearing pink spandex and stuff. So it changed. But Tommy Lee's a badass. On drums.
Well,
even Mick Mars. Even Mick Mars is a great guitar player. Nikki Sixx, he's okay.
I don't think
Vince Neil cannot sing.
I don't think
he never could sing. People complain about these days about Vince Neil's vocals suck. He never could sing.
First of all, look at the guitar work of Motley Crue. I don't think Mick Mars is that good of a guitarist.
To be 75 years old.
Well, not when he was doing it. But Nikki Sixx wrote all the songs, and we know that. I never liked the vocals because they were
kind of whiny.
Well, it was that old hair metal vein. I was like really not into hair metal at all, and they epitomized hair metal to me. And and there's a lot of bands. I understand there's a lot of talent, like whether it's Rat or Warrant or all these bands that have these great little shredder guys that can really do it, but to me it's always been kind of hollow.
Yeah.
And to me, really the vocals are the biggest turnoff.
I can see that for sure, because I've seen some videos from the 80s on YouTube, and Vince Neil, he couldn't sing back then. But I think it was also more of the stage show and their sort of their attitude, and Tommy Lee did the whole drum thing where he was spin upside down, and one year he came across the crowd. So it's more about the stage show, and
I understand. It's a show. It's like Kiss.
Yeah, exactly. They were Kiss. They were the Kiss of the 80s.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's your number one, Dave? Have we done number one yet?
It was number one. What's your number?
So it's my number one. All right. One band that I really can't stand is from the 90s, and they're
Human League. No, that's 80s.
And they're supposed to be punk, but to me it's not punk. Was Green Day. I can't stand Green Day. I think they're one of the, I don't know, everybody, you love Green Day.
I wouldn't say I love Green Day.
Do you like Green Day? When that song comes on the radio, back then it goes, do you have the time to listen to me whine? I go, nope, and I turn the channel every time, because I can't stand
I bought Dookie when it came out in, 91 or somewhere around there?
Yeah, it was like 94, 90. It was later than 90. It was in 96 probably. I could be
wrong. Put it on the comments.
Yeah. Let us know.
I think it was early 90s.
I'm sure we're totally wrong.
I remember seeing him on David Letterman's show. first time I'd ever seen them, it's three-piece band. Guy's wearing his guitar down here, like around his knees, and Billy Joe's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And they fucking killed. I mean, it was like, wow. And I went out and, Paul Schaefer always had good taste picking the bands that was going to be on there. And I thought they were awesome. And I wouldn't say I never saw them live, never bought another album, but Dookie was a seminal album. And they were very influential. And there's a reason why I think they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They could be. I don't know.
Anyways.
If you want to see what we think, the top 3 bands that got snubbed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, scroll down, you can see that episode. Also, make sure to comment if you agree with me or you agree with Dave, or do you have your own top 3 list of, what are we talking about?
Love to hear it regardless.
Yeah. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, like it, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.